Thank you, dear Mai and Jonathan. Beautiful, deep relaxation. Before I talk, I'm not going to say a lot, but I just wanted to also say hi to Karen Hillsberg. Did she just disappear? Oh, she just shifted screens. This Zoom thing is really interesting, the gallery view. You were on the left and then you popped over to the right. So from Southern California, and Dharma teacher, I wanted to just kind of hold energy, different forms of continuation. And I noticed in the chat that Sandra is needing to leave shortly. So I thought maybe you could be invited if you feel moved to share something about how your day has been nourishing or not. And you have a beautiful smile, so something's bringing a smile. And if you there's some things about continuation and Thay's continuation in particular that you want to put into the circle. I want to honor that you had mentioned that you need to leave shortly as well.
Thank you, Lyn, and thank you, Sangha. This has been such a rich day, and I just want to thank all of you. I had the image of, in my mindfulness breathing, of going into an inner sanctum, and in that space finding Thay there. And I think the fact that it is his continuation day, and that I chose it to spend with people who are followers of him, and realizing, I think that one line from Thay that I quote so often among friends who aren't even, taking that on followers, is when Thay says, and I hear his voice saying, a good practitioner can generate joy and happiness with the next breath. And the richness of living in that breath with no anxiety and no fear, and being at peace. And I think I've just been invigorated today to bring that more and more frequently into my days. So I just thank all of you, especially the Sugar Plum Sangha, for hosting this. So thank you, Lyn, for inviting me.
Thank you, Sandra. But where do you currently reside? I'm not sure.
I'm in San Jose, and I'm practicing with the Flowering Tree Sangha.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
And Trish, are you awakened enough to say hello from Vietnam? And if there's anything happened in your night or day or whatever time it is there, or your connection with Thay that you want to?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Yes. Good morning. Thank you for inviting me, Tong. I'm sitting here in Da Nang, and we've been having hard rains and flooding. In fact, I'm looking at a big bucket and towels all over my floor here in my bedroom. But this is the least of it. We've really had some really serious flooding over 6 provinces with deaths. And as of Saturday, 33,000 people had lost their homes. So it's quite serious. And another typhoon is supposed to, is approaching. So the forecast for the next month is rain. But I think this is the way it was in the past. I've been living here in central Vietnam for 8 years and have hardly experienced any rainy weather during the rainy season. But this year, it is the way I have read that it used to be, extremely hard rain coming down for maybe 5 minutes and then stop. And then maybe 1 minute later, hard rain, maybe for 30 minutes and then stop. It's just very, very interesting. I don't like to believe that that's my inner weather. However, I'm really feeling quite sunny. And yesterday, so it's Monday morning here, and it really isn't so late. It's already almost 4:45. So, I mean, I normally get up at 4:30 or 4:45 anyway, so but I go to bed really early. Last night was a little bit later. I'm the Dharma teacher for Singapore, and now Singapore is organizing and facilitating Dharma sharing and days of mindfulness and all of our nice practices for all of Southeast Asia. So last night we had a 2-hour training for OI, and I'm the Dharma teacher for that. So we had people in Beijing and Indonesia and all over. It's so encouraging, you know, it's just so, and they all love Thai and they love the Dharma and they love the practice, and it's quite nourishing for me. Yeah, so I'm here longer than I intended to be this year. Normally I'm in Charleston, part of the year anyway, and support the Indigo Sangha there. But COVID has for me done what it's done for all of you, I'm sure, which is change all those plans and help us to see the plans don't always work out. And present moment is a much better place to be. So everything is good here with me personally, and thinking of Thay. I don't want to take so much time because we're a large group.
It's okay. You can share what you need to share, and we'll find out how the time goes.
Please. Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I've had a lot of, I've had quite a few communications from people in the last couple of 3 weeks in particular, because, you know, a photo went around and then a little bit of news went around that Thay had stopped eating, and so people were asking me, oh, do you know anything, Trish? Because I do go over to Hue, you know, I'm a couple of hours away by car, and and I'm in touch with the nuns there, and so my response has been, you know, he's 94. You know, he had a stroke that should have killed him. I'm sure I wouldn't have survived that. He's in pain. I'm in touch with his senior assistant, Brother Radiance, and he tells me, you know, he's in pain, and his quality of life, I mean, he's in the bed or he's in the wheelchair. And so, you know, our best practice really is no coming, no going, and let him go. It's just his body anyway. He's not going anywhere. So I try to support people in that way. And I've realized really for the last 5 years that I let Thay go in 2015 when I was able to see him in San Francisco when he was there for his rehabilitation, physical therapy. And so I'll just make it brief, but it was maybe one of the most intense, wonderful moments I've ever had in my life. So I had a lot of anxiety because he just had the stroke the year before. And the anxiety was that when I went in the room and saw him for the first time, that I would become very emotional and upset him and upset everybody. And I would feel ashamed and like I should be a grown-up Dharma teacher and all that kind of thing, you know. And so I was really, I had that nervousness, that energy, which made me rather giddy. That was how it came across. And so I had time to calm down a little bit after arriving there. I was in the kitchen, had tea with Sister Chang Kong, and it was all very relaxed and wonderful. And I had just attended a week-long retreat at Magnolia Grove a couple of weeks earlier. And of course, that had been the first retreat I'd ever attended of Plum Village without Thay being there. And so I was coming straight from that. And so I enter the room, and and there was also a Vietnamese woman, mother, and her daughter. Sister Chan Kong had invited them up from LA because their husband, father, had had a similar stroke and had made a miraculous recovery. And so she wanted that energy there. And so I entered the room after Sister Chan Kong and the monks and the daughter and the mother came after me. So that meant that I was positioned on the floor directly in front of Thay. He was sitting on a sofa, and of course he's dressed in brown, and his little feet are on the floor there with the socks, and so I'm sitting there, and he immediately puts out his good hand for like a high five to the mother, and then the daughter, and then to me. And I'm wearing, of course, my brown jacket, and I've been very blessed that I've had a good number of interactions with him. So, so he knew me, and so I took his hand, and he took mine and wrapped it like that, and he did this. And so, that was so wonderful, and I knew he was smiling, and then we sang some songs, and then Sister said, so Trish, why don't you tell Thay about your experience at Magnolia Grove at the recent retreat? I said, oh, Thay, it was the most wonderful retreat I ever attended. And I heard, but then what came was, because Thay, you were there. You were everywhere. You were in all the monks and the nuns. I saw you when they walked across the grass. I saw you when they were sitting just like you sit. And when they gave their dharma talks, I heard you. So you were there. And of course, yeah. And so with that, the monk said, so maybe we should let Thay rest. He's tired. And with that, the mother reaches over and rubbed his foot. Now, in all the years, I've never touched Thay. Now, he's rubbed my shoulder. He's patted me, but I've never touched him. I've never initiated a touch. And so I'm looking at these feet, and she rubs his foot, and then the daughter reaches over and rubs his foot. So with that, I said, well, Thay, I want to rub your feet too. So I rubbed both feet. And with that, we left, and I went into the nearest bathroom and cried like a baby and let go of all that. And when I left that house that day, I knew that I had told Thay goodbye, and I had let him go. That it was inside, I was feeling, it's okay, Thay. Yeah, thank you, Thay. You've given me everything. So thank you for listening. Thank you for allowing me to relive that. I'll mute myself.
Hmm. I don't know exactly if I'm facilitating or if we're just bowing in or not. But I was felt the need for a bell, so I hope it was okay, and Jonathan, for me just to sound it. I see a number of people kind of with eyes and with nose and breathing in, and breathing out, looking out the window to be in touch with the sky and the air. and Thay's presence here with us. Karen, since you're coming from Southern California, we're in Northern California, and you've had long friendship with Thay as well. Would you be willing to share something now? If not, that's fine, but thought I'd invite you. Karen Hillsbrook.
Thank you, Lynn. I'd rather wait until later if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Part of the pleasure of Zoom that we can mute and unmute ourselves at will, including speaking. So I can share for a few minutes. I'll need to leave in about 25 minutes or so.
If it's
yeah.
okay, can I say, we have plenty of time. We have an hour, so if you want to take, 5-7 minutes, we have plenty of time. So feel free. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I didn't prepare, so we'll just see what pops out. I know many of the people here, and feel deeply connected on this day. I woke up early this morning and sat, and because I've been taking this Satipatthana practice course with Jim Scott Behrens, and what popped into my mind was the practitioner goes to the foot of a tree or goes to the forest and sits. And so this whole notion of being a practitioner, and somebody mentioned something about being a follower, and some other people call themselves disciples. And it's a really became an interesting inquiry. Like, what's a practitioner? And what does it mean when we say continuation, and happy continuation, dear Thay, and the Thay in me and the Thay in each of you. And at the same time, we know Thay has manifested in a particular body, at a particular time on the planet. And it was interesting as I was listening to Trish, when I've been with people who are in the moment, or possible moments of transition into letting go of the body, it's often been really helpful for the people who are near them, the relatives, to say, it's okay, we're okay. And it's okay for you to leave, and we will be okay, and you can know that whatever is keeping you here, that's wonderful, and it's fine to leave. So when we think of saying that to Thay, what is that? What does that mean for me, is what I ask myself. I also was graced and blessed. I didn't know that when I met Thay in 1982, it was like early, and that there was going to be another 40 years of connection. It was just, it happened to be that he was coming for a conference after a long time outside of the United States, choosing not to be here, and that I was connected with the facilitation team at that conference, and was facilitating a small group in which he and a couple of other Buddhist people were the resource teachers. So many of you have heard this story before. I'm not going to go into that detail, except to say that as Trish was mentioning, she went home and sobbed. I went home and sobbed, and it's interesting, this question about emotion and emotional intelligence, and what happens when strong feelings of whatever kind arise, but in particular heartbreak or heart coming open with joy. Because for me, in that moment, just feeling Thay's presence and what he was offering about peace on the planet, there was a sense of meeting, that it wasn't I had met my teacher, but that meeting had happened in that sense of meeting. And I was speaking with someone the other day who said, that she never met Thay. And I was, it struck me because I knew she had been to many retreats with Thay personally. As we move on into the next generations, there will be people who haven't met Thay personally in the body. But I was taking the word meet I realized later, in the way that I had met Thay, or the Thay in me had met the Thay in Thay, that moment in 1982. And then there were other moments of that kind of connection, and some of us have felt that just being one of 2,000 people in a public talk, the connection. And it's not really connection because there's nothing to connect. There's just being present together. So one of those moments, I was sitting on a rock in Lower Hamlet along the walking path, and was actually thinking about Thay, and he walks by. And I thought, oh, that's remarkable. And we make meaning out of all kinds of moments like that, and we connected, and that's actually in a I put it into a poem. So it's hard to say. The continuation is really what I'm present with. It was possible for me to go on a trip to Israel with Thay and Sister Chung Kung, and I remember that we stood in the marketplace, and he was just standing, and I went and stood next to him in this great big bustling marketplace, and the energy of mindfulness, just it was like the ocean depth of in, out, that was just there in the field of energy. And that, when people talk about continuous practice, that for me is a moment that I get, that I aspire to. That every moment that I'm listening in a dharma talk or speaking and just present and eating, whatever, there's just this kind of substratum level that's keeping going in, out. And that's just maybe what people call presence. Especially maybe because it was in Israel. So there's a place in me as a person of Jewish roots that place is special, and the struggles, like the struggles here, the struggles of that place are have touched me. And there he was, just standing, offering peaceful presence. And similarly in 2005 in Hue, when we had outdoor walking meditation down the main street of Hue, just, the whole street was closed and lots of people walking. So little moments, similarly in New York City where we started. We did, and I'll close maybe with this one. Thay and Sister Chung Kung, before she was sister, were coming to offer a retreat at a place called the New York Open Center. The man who was organizing it, his teacher, his Tibetan teacher, had passed a couple of months before, and he hadn't done what was needed in terms of organizing like a place to stay or whatever. So Thay and Sister Chung Kung stayed kind of upstairs in the office of the Open Center, and we had a 4-day retreat of maybe 30 or 40 people. And we took the subway in New York from the Open Center to Central Park. And we walked slowly on the subway platform and going in. And it was just, again, I seem to be recalling these kind of presence in ordinary spaces as distinct from, there were lots of moments in retreats as well, but I happen to have been gifted with these moments in ordinary spaces. And ever since then, I spent another 20 years living in New York, and the subway was a different space. And I would be, waiting for the train and just doing walking, not in an obvious way, but doing walking meditation. I would be saying loving kindness meditation to every single person in the subway car, or on the platform was a very grounding practice for me. It was also for you and all your ancestors, and it's a very diverse, ethnically, culturally diverse space. So it was like the whole world was there. So I feel really gifted to be in a community that is all over the world. Trish, thank you for coming and talking about Singapore and China. I was just with Rahina from Rina Harilal has organized 4 Sundays for Black History Month in the UK. In England is October. And there are 3, it's called Buddhists Across Traditions. Sister Peace was on it last time. And there were 3 people, one from South Africa, where Rahina's heritage is from this time, and African heritage clinical psychologist from England, and then Ralph Steele from the United States. So I can send the link around. Some people have gotten it, maybe some not, but it's real. I realized, continue to realize, you know, that for me, when I came to Plum Village, there were 11 languages being translated through these earphones. You know, it's like a mini United Nations, and that whole experience of a community that embraces everyone, and that's what attracted me, and that's my continuing aspiration.